Hi there. Based on what you can see on my screen, I've already done this video and I've had to do it again because I've basically messed up with my screens. So I'm not going to be able to replicate everything that I've done from scratch because this was like a new machine with nothing on there, um, so far as getting this going. But um, what we have done is we've run this command here. So I had to actually first of all install curl. So it was a oops, drop my mouse. Sorry. So it was a case of oops, running sudo apt get install curl first of all, and then we ran this command here, which according to uh, Ollama's website, if we go back to download it, this is the command for Linux. So we've executed that, which has downloaded Ollama on our local machine. And then if I run Ollama list, we can see I've also installed deepseek R1 and R1 8B and 7B. So the two different images. So if we go back to here and have a look at models, so this is what I've gone for, 7B and 8B. And typically to pull those, I've run a command like so. I'm not going to run it actually because I'm going to do 1.5B this time. So we get another image, 1.5B. So that will start pulling down the image. Then I haven't run any of this. You don't need to do any of this because I had a problem getting Ollama to recognize Open-web-ui to recognize the Ollama images. So then we've installed Docker on the local machine by running this command, which we can do here. So paste that in. It's already installed anyway. And then I've ran Docker pull this command to pull it, and then ran this command, which basically creates the image and runs it locally. So because I need to be sudo bash docker ps, and I think it's still running. So what I could do is do docker. So if I go to localhost 8080, as you can see, it's got to give me an answer, and it's there with some images already. So what I will do is I will cancel this, and I'm going to docker kill this image. Oh, because I've killed it because it was running. I could have Control C here, right? Killed it. So as you can see, there's no Docker images running. So I had run this command here, and I think if you add -rm to this as well, then that will make it run in the background mode. But so because I've done Control C, it's killed it. So if I do docker image ls, we can see this image, and I called it. You have to call it by the name, so I called it open-webui-new. So if you just do docker start name, whoops, open web UI-new. So docker ps now, that's running. So that should now be available back on the browser again. May take some time. Yeah. So that's that. I mean, I can show you again. So if I do docker ps kill so now if you go to the browser, oops, it's down. And if I start the image up again, that will start up. And this is, as you can see, it's also on the Docker run command. So it says that Ollama URL is this, but here's how you configure it actually. So once it's started up, we're going to go to it. It will ask you for the first time to create a username and a password or an email address and password. So you should remember that, because typically when you come to it for the next time, maybe after a reboot, it will ask you for those credentials. So when you've logged in, you go to settings, and then you go to admin settings, you go to connection, and you will need to put something random into here for it to save. But then the Ollama URL here is different, and you need to make it be either localhost or 127.0.0.1.1134, which is the address here that you can access Ollama on. And then you save it. So you typically, this has to match this URL. Probably paste that into here and save it. And then once you do that, your models will appear on the home page of 8080, as you can see here. So I'm going to try 1.5b because I've never tried this. This is on a laptop running Ultra 5 with 16 gigs of RAM, and it's got 14 cores. So I'm going to ask it a question of and we can see here it's kind of not really touching the machine. It's able to answer back pretty quickly. You can see here the memory isn't touched much. It's 15 gigs free. It's answered the question. It's answered it in 21 seconds, as you can see there, and there wasn't much core usage. So I'm going to switch the model to 7B, and I'm going to ask it the same question again. On 7B now, and you can see now that it will start to trash the machine a little bit. The CPUs will start to get hit quite heavily, and it's come back pretty quickly. I asked it a question not too long ago, and it was took quite a while. So still answering. You can see the answer seems to be a lot more thorough using the 7B. It's it's still ongoing. clearly taken a lot longer than 1B on the machine, and it's still, as you can see, the effects of it on the CPUs is still ongoing. Memory hasn't really been used. Swap hasn't been touched. Swap being your virtual memory. It has answered it, and it's taken 2 minutes and 43 seconds to answer that question. I am going to throw it at 8 as well. So let's see what it says and what the CPUs do. So I will leave the instructions on the notes as part of the video. These notes I've made up here for it. I mean, this was done on another machine, and I've just got this machine up and running, so I thought I'd just give it a go on a new machine. But obviously, I've made boo-boo with the screens. I had fingers on that laptop screen and things on here, and then when I started to record, I ended up with half of it on one screen and half of it on another screen. It was a real mess, so I had to start again. And hopefully this time around, I check my thing. Yeah, it should be fine. Shouldn't have that problem this time. But I think 8 will take quite a while to answer, and I'm going to try and. Well, it's probably not a good idea. I was going to throw another question at it from another window, but I think that will just confuse it more. So what I can do though is show you the command line. So we're in 1B at the moment. After I did Ollama run deepseek -r1 colon 1.5b, we're inside the comment, so I can say hi, and it will think and answer back. Although this is going to impact the stuff that's going on with the other question, so it'll probably look a little bit more busy and might take longer because of the other work. It's still answering. And the hi is still going as well. It's taken quite a while to answer to that. So I guess this gives you an idea of what these AI systems are doing when we're going to them and asking loads of different questions from loads of different people. This is what's going on in the background at the moment. As you can see, this high question is now taking us quite some time to respond with. So the amount of power that they need to interact with all of us is immense. Funnily enough, though, it's just kind of hitting some of the calls and not the other calls. The other calls seem to be doodling about. So what I will do is I might cancel this high and show you how you get out of it. Control C out of that. So we've come out of the high. It might make a difference to this slot as well. You would do / and buy, and that will come out of the prompt. And if you want to go back into a command line again, you just give it the Ollama run deepseek -r1 colon 1.5b or whatever other model that you want to question, and that will, because it's already downloaded, it will just connect to it and then give you the prompt of, the command line prompt of you being able to question or query it. Obviously, the web UI is a nice wrapper around this command line thing, and it gives you, when you ask it coding questions, it does tend to give you code blocks, which is I think what you saw when I first came into the browser as I started it. That 8B seems to be really struggling to, there we go, it's come back now, or coming back with an answer. Yeah, it's not so much memory. Obviously, I don't have a GPU to, be trashing that. It's more so, I think one of these is the graphics as well, but nothing is going on with that. This might be the graphics. Oh, try again. It's not showing anything, but I'm sure it was 64. Although, I mean, it really doesn't matter because when you first start Ollama, it says you don't have a sufficient graphics card, so it then purely relies on your CPUs. So that's why nothing is going on with it. Don't expect it to use your graphics card in any way if you don't have the relevant graphics card. That's my message. It will just primarily use your CPU. I am going to upgrade the RAM on this, but as you can see, there was nothing going on so far as the RAM usage. Where are they gone? Maybe it's because it's reset, but yeah, there's hardly anything used on it. And it has, or it's still answering. So I hope this kind of answers some of, I've seen some questions around having VRAM, which is your swap on Linux, having a RAM. I don't think any of that will make any difference. And you can tell from my system monitoring, there's really hardly anything going on with those. It's just purely and primarily CPUs. And from what I can see, it seems to be a batch of the CPUs rather than all of the CPUs as well at this rate, getting trashed. Maybe it's this machine, but I did run it on an i7 12th gen, and I did see all the CPUs being, hammered a little bit, although some were getting hammered more than others. And even that with I think it was a 7B model that was running on it, it still took some time to answer the question. And I'm gonna, when it's finished this, we're gonna see how long it took because it was 20 seconds or so versus 2 minutes something versus I don't know how long. And obviously each model has given us slightly different answers with more in-depth information depending on which model you've gone for. And that obviously gives you an insight into the more powerful you go, the more information it can feed you about anything relevant or irrelevant at this rate. Let's go into landmarks, which is similar to what that gave, although it was called something else above. I'm going to jump back to 1B once it's finished, and I've got a kind of like a time of how long it took. And I wanted to, I'm just quickly having a look at seeing if there's any difference in this stuff going on. To show you how it answers a coding question through the web UI. So just to give you an insight. And I've noticed that it has got a microphone where you can speak to it. I haven't tried it. I haven't got that. So that took 10 minutes and 44 seconds versus 2 minutes on the other one. Obviously, the answers are very different. 2 minutes 43 versus 10 minutes and 43. This is jumping between 7B and 8B models. I'm just going to jump back to 7B, not 7B, sorry, 1.5B. I'm going to ask it a programming question of see what's going on here. Some of the other cores have kicked in this for this question. And I think it depends on the sort of question you throw at it for it to take longer or not. Obviously, in the the first 3 questions, it was the same question at different models. But even on the basic models, depending on what kind of questions you throw at it, it can take it longer depending on how much thinking it's got to do. Wow, 100% of core 8. Yeah, it's coming back with an answer. Just the interface, it seems to be, but it's answering. So the instructions for Open-web-ui is on GitHub's Open-web-ui, and I think they have got a web page, but it was down, and this is the typical commands, but it kind of starts it up on port 3000, and the additional commands that I've given you kind of starts up on like 8080, and it does work so far as you following the command and instructions that I'm going to provide with the video. And as you can see here, it's broken down the requirements or the question I've asked it, and it's gone away. It's given some insight into what it's about to write. So then it gives you, say, it asks you for the first number, then it asks you for the second number, then it gives you 5 choices on the screen, and you've got to choose between 1 to 5 for add, subtract, multiply, divide, or modulus. Depending on what you feed it for the answer, it then does that calculation based on that. As you can see, this is based on the choices you give it. If it's 1, which is add, plus, minus, times, divide. And there's your explanation, and then it tells you how to run it. And that took 3 minutes and 49 seconds to write, to provide an answer, which isn't great, but it's offline and you're doing it on your own machine, and it's not bad. I think yesterday I gave it quite a complex problem on 7B. It gave back a really in-depth answer with things that I've not come across before, not specifically things I wanted to use, technologies that I wanted to go delving down the road with. So I would have had to gone back to it and said, look, I don't want this and I don't want that. Can you make this, do it this way and do it that way? And due to the amount of time it took, it would have taken up my whole night with the frozen 2 sort of questions. So I think I will hold back with running these. I would typically probably need 8B or more from the models. I would probably want 14B or 32B really to have perfect answers out of it. But you'd need a good graphics card for that, it would seem, rather than something with a high amount of processors. I mean, this is a pretty new machine, or RAM. I mean, I will retest all this with more memory, but based on what I've seen, the RAM isn't touched. It's more CPU, and the system, Ollama tells you it's going to base it on your CPUs. So I hope this is a good video for you. I hope you've learned something, and have a great day. Thank you. Bye.